Ladies, you may be clicking on this particular video out of sheer curiosity of what this might really be about. So here's our topic today. Don't make church unsafe by how you dress. Now, some of you might be thinking, yes, and amen. Finally, somebody's talking about this, because I see plenty of ladies walking around with inappropriate clothes on that I have to hope my husband missed seeing or have to cover the eyes of my son. But I want to talk about that today. This is a real issue in our churches. Now, this video is not about me saying that being fashionable is a sin. It's okay to dress your own flair and with the trends of the day. But here's what I want you to consider. There may come a point where your freedom to dress as you please may infringe on others. So women, here's the goal. Don't make church unsafe by how you dress. So let's talk about that for a second. All of us have probably a picture of those women in our minds that maybe come to church with the low-cut shirt on or tight, or, the cleavage spilling out, or the short, tight skirts. And we're all uncomfortable with that. But maybe part of the problem is no one's bothered to talk to those women about maybe the way they dress is a problem or an issue or something that they should think about. We should be striving for modesty. So let's define that. Modesty is dressing without vanity. Now, vanity is about making things about ourselves, right? Vanity is making about you. It's putting yourself out there saying, look at me, pay attention to me. Now, here's our challenge in the church. If we're choosing to be modest, then we're choosing not to be a distraction, especially by what we wear. We should be considerate of others. We should think about, how I dress, how I carry myself actually has an impact on those around me. Now, even deeper than that, what I want to encourage us to think about today is not the particulars of the list of things I'm going to say, here's what you can and cannot wear to church. That becomes legalism. That's not the point. But what I want to say is that true modesty really is a matter of the heart. And here's what my hope is, and here's the challenge for myself. I want to be quick to elevate Christ and slow to elevate myself. I hope that that's your heart as well. Now, this isn't just my opinion here. This is a scriptural precedent. So let's look at 1 Timothy chapter 2, starting in verse 9, and see what the Bible has to say. It says, I want women to be modest in their appearance. They should wear decent and appropriate clothing, not to draw attention to themselves. It goes on to talk about hair and expensive jewelry and clothes. Now, again, some of that's cultural to the time of that setting of that day. It goes on in verse 10 to say, for women who claim to be devoted to God should make themselves attractive by the good things that they do. So here's the deal. Our focus should be on who we are and how we live, not on what we wear. I think if we think about this again, going back to maybe the woman you're thinking of in the beginning of the video that maybe has come to church dressed in ways that make you uncomfortable because your husband can't not notice that person or their big boobs or whatever it is. Church can become a very unsafe place for others to pursue God if women are walking around provocatively and suggestively in their dress. Don't we agree that the world brings enough of that kind of temptation into play? It's everywhere. So let's all play our part by not bringing that element into our churches. That's one of the great impacts that as women that we can have in our churches, is that we come dressed appropriately, that we think about it in terms of modesty, that we are not elevating ourselves. Now, here's what I think the challenge is, the practical thing. 3 different people I want you to consider when you get dressed for church. The first person I want you to think about is a man who struggles. Now, we all know that pornography is a huge issue in our nation today, and we know that men are very visual creatures, and so they can see an image, they can see a person, and it's locked in their brain and can be recalled at any time for them to think about. We don't want to be that image, right? We don't want to be the image that gets locked in the brain of somebody else's husband. So pay attention to how you dress, because that man's trying to come to church to worship the Lord and to, continue to work through those issues. And if we come to church dressed the same way we could see someone walking around, when they're out to dinner on a Saturday night, then we're not helping that man who's struggling. The second person I want you to think about is the wife of that man. Women, we have a great effect on men. God made us the way that we are, and that's not a bad thing, except that we're trying to put ourselves out there as this object that we want people to lust after. Now think about the wife of that man who's come into church thinking, surely this is a place that's safe for us and my husband can come and focus and pray and worship and get his priorities straight. But lo and behold, if he's at the coffee bar or he's sitting in the pew or he's wherever he is in church, and the same kind of woman's dressed in church the same way they are when we're out to the movies. Think about that wife and be considerate of her, that it's not safe for her to feel like you are dressing in a way that her husband notices. And the third person is that next generation of women in your church, in your youth group, your own daughters. We're setting a tone. We are creating a culture as women that the younger women are going to watch and emulate. So let's pay attention to those 3 different people as you dress on a Sunday morning. We can be proactive in creating a safe, unintimidating environment in our churches. And it is as simple and starts with just watching what you wear. So I hope you can take that challenge today. I really want you to answer these questions today. Really talk about that and think about it. Apply it to your own life. Talk about it with your friends and your family. Talk about it with leaders in your church and really see how you could take this particular topic and apply it in your own church settings and make it a place that's healthy and safe and a great place that does not have distractions from people's pursuit of God.